What is up, Yankee fans? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and the New York Yankees dropped the final game of this Yankees-Pirates series by a score of 5-4. They did walk away with a series win. This game ended up going to extras. They lost in the bottom of the 11th inning. The Yankees were down 4-1 for most of this game, came back in the top of the ninth, but ultimately couldn't get the job done. The comeback fell just short. They end up falling in extras, and there's a lot to talk about from that game and more. We'll be talking about the entire series, games 1, 2, and 3, talk about the top performers from this series, and preview their series beginning tomorrow in Comerica Park as they take on the Detroit Tigers for a 3-game set. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys checking out Fireside Yankees. I'm your host, Ryan Garcia, and there is a lot to talk about, but if you guys want to stay up to date on the New York Yankees and what we've got going on here at Fireside Yankees, we've got an Instagram, a TikTok, a Facebook, a Twitter, and of course this YouTube page you guys can all check out. Links for everything are in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started talking about this series. And look, the Yankees took 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. There was questions about whether they would even get all 3 games in Pittsburgh, and I would consider the Yankees to have done a job. You know, you don't want to overstate the value or overstate the impressiveness of winning 2 of 3 against a bad baseball team. You would want to sweep a bad baseball team when given the opportunity, and the Yankees were certainly given the opportunity to do so today. But at the end of the day, the first thing you have to do is take the series. And in the first 2 games, the Yankees were dominant. They didn't really have moments of doubt in this series outside of, that one inning where Stroman allows the 4 runs, and, they immediately respond with Trent Grisham's heroics. But let's get started talking about this first game. Look, the Yankees in the first game, they had Max Fried going. They get out to an early lead. Max Fried delivered a really strong performance, 5 2/3 innings of 1-run ball. We talked about this game a little bit earlier this weekend, so I'm not going to go too much in depth, but I was really impressed with the at-bats in that game, really impressed with the pitching performance. Again, the bullpen kind of having some issues with runners on base in that game. Fernando Cruz surrendered a 3-run home run. But these are the kinds of things where you work those out early in the year. Cruz has been so good for the Yankees outside of that one blemish. So kind of hard for me to care about what was, ultimately just one bad pitch. And the second game was kind of more of the same. I mean, the Yankees didn't have as dominant of a game in terms of they weren't just outright crushing the Pirates from start to finish, but the Yankees had got out to an early 2-0 lead. Marcus Stroman comes in. He was pitching really well through the first 3 innings, and then he completely falls apart in that 4th inning. Pirates take a 4-2 lead, and with that rain in the forecast, you kind of have doubts about whether the Yankees are going to have a chance to even come back in this game, but they were able to do just that. They were able to come back. Trent Grisham, 3-run bomb, gives the Yankees the lead. They continue adding runs. They eventually go on to win that game 10-4. The bullpen was nails. They didn't allow a single run in that game. The bullpen has not allowed an earned run in each of the last 2 games. And then this third game, which I think is the one that fans are going to be most interested to hear about because the Yankees lost. And at the end of the day, when the Yankees lose, those kinds of things are going to be magnified more than when they win. It's just how it is, especially when you're a contender playing a non-contender. So let's start talking about Will Warren. Will Warren struggled. He was really, really good through the first 2 innings. Crisp, easy, clean, ground balls, strikeouts, not walking people. First 2 outs of the 3rd inning, again, clean, easy, just kind of cruising through this Pirates lineup. It looks like there's a point in time where you're going to get this really strong start from Will Warren, this opportunity for him to build off of a more of a gritty first outing, one where he really had to grind his way through the start. And then it just kind of falls apart in that 3rd inning because of a walk to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And look, you can't understate the deflation, or you can't understate the just how you can't walk the 9-hitter. You can't walk the 9-hitter to face the 1, 2, and 3 hitters, especially in a Pittsburgh lineup where depth is not their strength, but they have enough in the top of that lineup that they can put up runs. Ke'Bryan Hayes is a good enough talent, not necessarily a guy who's produced, but a good enough talent that if given the opportunity not to face him, you take it, right? If given the opportunity to face a lesser hitter, you take it. And IKF was that lesser hitter. And again, it was bad that the Yankees were unable that Will Warren was unable to throw strikes and just get him out or force him to get on base with a hit. Like, make IKF beat you. So that was really frustrating. And then it compiles, these mistakes start compiling. Brian Hayes on a 2-strike count, he's able to take a hanging sweeper that Warren does not get enough. That location was really poor. It was a backed up slider. Brian Hayes hangs with it, knocks it to left field. And then Brian Reynolds takes a sinker that catches too much of the zone and dumps it for a 2-run double. Warren's able to prevent much more damage from occurring later in the game or later in that inning, but the 4th inning was kind of more of the same. It was not being able to stay ahead of batters, leaving pitches over the heart of the plate. Some bad mistakes just compiled. And Warren, in that 4th inning, allowed 2 more runs. It made it a 4-1 game. And that was the end of the line for him. He finishes that 4th inning, but was unable or was not allowed to or permitted to pitch further in that game. Boone pulls him. Right decision. I mean, you want to try and win the game. Warren clearly did not have it today. And, it was a tough start for him. And the way I evaluate it is, he didn't allow a home run, but he still allowed 4 runs. And that's a product of poor command, right? That's a product of not executing pitches properly, sinkers that leak over the plate too much, sweepers that hang a little too much, not executing enough in zone, missing early in counts, which result in a pitcher having to throw the ball in zone. And then that kind of ties back into what we talked about poor command in the strike zone. If you're forced to throw strikes and your command in zone starts to give, it's not going to work. It's a bad recipe. Warren's velocity was down throughout the outing. It was just a frustrating showing for Warren, who, has a job to try and secure, because Clark Schmidt should be on the way in the next 9 days. So that gives Warren about another start. If he's now not outright dominant in his next appearance, he's going to get sent down. So, that was a tough showing for Warren, and something where, like, again, you just have to be better. You have to be better. You have to have better command there. And it was just a rough showing. So, the Yankees bullpen comes in and they were superb. I mean, Brett Hedrick strikes out 4 batters in 2 innings of scoreless baseball. Yoenis Gomez follows it up with 2 more innings of scoreless ball. And look, this game looks like it's going to be, 4-1 loss. The Yankees are coming up in the bottom of the 9th. Volpe gets on base. Wells, I was really disappointed in his bunt attempt. I thought that was a weak bunt attempt. I think with 1 out and down 3 runs, you have no reason to bunt yourself on base, because Brian Hayes isn't off the bag. I mean, he's in a normal position. Is he playing in? No, but it's still Brian Hayes. The Pirates know they can leave him on an island out there, and he's still going to convert those bunts into outs. So I want Austin Wells swinging. I want Austin Wells working in that bat or a plate appearance. I want Austin Wells forcing a pitcher to make good pitches, because if Austin Wells reaches there, the Yankees might have ended up taking the lead in the 9th. But look, I understand, I understand the approach of bunting to get on when you're down multiple runs. Because the value of a home run is not as high there as it would be if the hitter at the plate was the go-ahead or game-tying run. But I just thought that, given the defensive positioning, bunting there was not the right call. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel about the situation. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'll get to questions in a bit. And then the Yankees are able to rally. Jason Dominguez gets on. Oswald Peraza ropes a double down the line. The Yankees score 1 on that one. It makes it a 4-2 game. Runners are at 2nd and 3rd here, and Trent Grisham comes through again. Big 2-run single. Yankees tie it. They're down to their last strike in that situation, down to their last out, and he shows up. He shows out. He gets the job done. Really impressive swings from Grisham this series. We'll highlight him in a bit. We'll talk about some of the top performers, some of the guys who didn't perform as well in the series, give some injury updates, so on and so forth. Just do some normal standard updating for the fans. Grisham delivered a huge hit, and this game that looked like it was over had new life breathed into it. And Luke Weaver is able to deliver a clean inning in the 9th, and it sets the stage for extra innings, bonus contos, and you have your 2, 3, and 4 hitters up. That's exactly where you want to be. You want to have your 2, 3, and 4 hitters up with a runner on second, and you think, all right, we're scoring here. We're scoring here, and then if we can give the ball to Weaver or Williams in the 9th, we can lock this thing down. And that's not what ends up happening. Cody Bellinger's up 3-0 in the count, takes a strike. I know some people were saying he should have swung on that 3-0 pitch. I hear the argument for it. I don't really think it's a bad thing he didn't swing there, but I think what everyone, and I apologize for that hoarse moment there with my voice, I think where everyone can agree is that Cody Bellinger on that 3-1 pitch, I mean, that was a really bad swing decision. I don't think the act of swinging 3-1 in and of itself is a bad thing, even with Aaron Judge behind you. I think the act of swinging 3-1 is fine if it's your pitch. You have to be really selective about that pitch you're swinging at. Bellinger was completely fooled, and he swings at a pitch well out of the zone. And instead of a walk there that would have set up first and second, no one out for Aaron Judge, no place for the Pirates to put him, and a chance for Aaron Judge to face a lefty and do some serious damage. The Yankees now were in a situation where first base was open, one out because Bellinger grounded out, runner on third, and Judge has the bat taken out of his hands. He ends up getting a first on an intentional walk. But look, it's first and third. It's one out. You should still be able to get a run across, but Jazz Chisholm pops out and Volpe hits a screamer up the middle that gets caught. Look, Jazz had a really bad at bat as well. He was chasing out of the zone. He did not have a great day at the plate today. And then in the case of Volpe, I mean, he does everything you can with that one. That one's just, good swing, good at bat, bad outcome. Sometimes that happens, but that was not the case with Bellinger or Chisholm. They had straight up bad at bats. But credit to Luke Weaver, bottom of the 10th, gives the Yankees another chance to score. He shuts the Pirates down, does not allow the ghost runner to score. But in the top of the 11th, the Yankees just continue to not really have good extra inning at bats. Wells expands the strike zone. He strikes out in his at bat. Dominguez reaches on a poor defensive play. Now, was the throwing error on Isaiah kind of fluff up? I'm not necessarily sure if it's a bad, like if it was an error on him, the throw isn't great, but it was on a hop. I think the first baseman should have dug it out, but I don't think that's necessarily relevant to a Yankee fan listening to this. You don't care who the error is on. It was just an error. And then you've got first and third and no one, and one man out. You've got Peraza and Grisham up, the heroes in the top of the 9th. Peraza strikes out, Grisham unable to get the job done. And you just kind of sit back and you go, you had first and third, one out, 2 different times. And you didn't score. That just can't happen, right? That's really bad. And it's kind of frustrating because the Yankees had scored in the bottom of the 9th with 2 out hits. I mean, it was back-to-back 2 out hits when the game was all but over that kept the Yankees alive and put them in extra innings. And yet when they get to extras and are in much more favorable run scoring conditions and have their best hitters up or have first and third with the 2 guys who delivered in the top of the 9th come up, you're still unable to get the job done. That was a frustrating extra inning showing. Devin Williams gets the first out without the runner advancing to third. But in the runner at second, who was held on the first out, he steals third. That was Jack Sawinski. Jack Sawinski ends up scoring on a single from Tommy Pham. Devin Williams has been great with the Yankees. I get it. Can you sit back and say, Devin Williams, wow, what a job he's done since coming over here? No, but he's had 3 appearances. One of them came before the paternity list thing. Other one came in super low leverage. The last one comes in a tie game with a runner on third and 1 out because of a stolen base. And the guy only reaches because of the Manfred rule. I just have such a hard time getting on Devin Williams' case about this outing because the Yankees should have had a run on the board. The Yankees should have won this game in the 10th inning. But at the end of the day, it's not what ends up happening. Yankees end up losing. Devin Williams gets the loss. And the Pirates walk away, able to salvage a series and avoid a sweep. The Yankees dropped to 6-3 after that game. But at the end of the day, again, the Yankees win a series. They're 6-3 on the season. They're first in the AL East. First 9 games, what's the evaluation? I'm a thumbs up. Right. I'm not going to say 2 thumbs up. It's 9 games. How high can you go after 9 games? But the Yankees, I think some of the early things you can show or the early things you can feel a little bit worried about is the rotation. The rotation has not been very good for the Yankees. They have really struggled in the back end of that rotation. Rodon's been fine. 1 really good start, 1 really, not great start. Max Fried has had 2, starts thus far. 1 not great start, 1 good start. Warren, 1 solid, 1 bad. Stroman, 2 bad. Carrasco, 1 bad relief appearance, and then 1 solid, good enough start. The rotation has to be better. I hope the addition of Clark Schmidt in the next 10 days will help them. But I am definitely hey, this rotation is currently constructed without Clark Schmidt, without Luis Gil, without Garrett Cole, is super reliant on that offense to click. And I don't think that's very sustainable. So, the Yankees are going to have to figure out ways to either A, get more from this rotation, or B, have, additions lined up at the deadline because they're going to need guys to come back from the IL. Clark Schmidt's going to help in that regard. And they're going to need guys to step up internally. So, for a guy like Will Warren, that velo's got to get up. That velo's got to be up. Like, this is a guy who can hit 95, 96 in the radar gun, and he was topping out 93, 94. So that velo's got to come up. The Yankees kind of have a lack of velocity in their rotation. It's Rodon who's got good velo. Fried's actually got pretty solid velo, despite his reputation as like a soft tossing lefty. He's more of just a contact managing lefty. Velo's pretty solid. But like Stroman's velo is well below average. It's uncompetitive stuff. Carrasco's velo is well below average, and it's uncompetitive in zone. And then Warren's velocity has been below average and below his standards. So while you expect the low velo from Carrasco and Stroman, that X factor in the rotation, which Warren has a chance and still has the chance to be, he hasn't been the guy. The velo hasn't been there. The stuff hasn't looked as crisp. The command hasn't looked great. He doesn't look like the guy he was in spring. Velo-wise, command-wise, across the board, just doesn't look like the guy he looked like in spring. So he's going to have to step up. And again, Stroman, Carrasco, these guys can't live in the zone. They have to nibble. They have to walk guys, and they eventually have to give up home runs or give up loud contact because they can't nibble every single time they pitch. So if you want one thing that you're going to get me to really say, hey, not looking good for the Yankees right now, it's that rotation. But I still feel good about the offense. I know they had bad extra inning at bats, but even when the Yankees have an off day offensively, they still find a way to, put up runs. They didn't hit a home run today, which I think that's the first game where they haven't hit a home run. Actually, I'm pretty confident in saying that's the first game they haven't hit a home run. I'm fairly confident in saying that. Yeah. So they didn't hit a home run and they lost. I would say, they should hit home runs, right? That's what they should do. That's really it. Like, the Yankees didn't really hit much today, and then Warren didn't give them a great start, but the bullpen did a great job. So, there's that. Moving on to this series in Detroit. Now, the New York Yankees are going to Detroit. And if you guys are not aware, there was a scheduling change. This scheduling change puts them in a position where they have a 3:10 start tomorrow, and then 1:00 starts in the final two games of that series. So it'll be early Yankee baseball, no nighttime games. They'll play one nighttime game between now and next Sunday. So kind of crazy. Anywho, the pitching matchups for this series are Carlos Rodon versus Casey Mize, then Carlos Carrasco versus Tariq Skubal, and Max Fried versus Jack Flaherty. So we're getting the three best pitchers in the Tigers, and we're throwing out two of our three best pitchers. With Skubal facing Carrasco, you kind of feel like that one's the one you're going to lose. And then you feel like there's a lot of pressure to win the other two games if you want to win this series. The Tigers, they're off to a 5-4 start. They just swept the White Sox, made a comeback in the ninth inning to walk it off. Casey Mize is off to a really strong start this season. He's 1-0, 0 ERA, 6 strikeouts through his, first time through the rotation. Let me double check that is his first time through the rotation. I believe that the Tigers, that being, did not have the off day that the Yankees had baked in that allowed him to skip a rotation. Yep. So yeah. The Mize has only pitched in one start, and he delivered 5 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball against the Mariners. So Yankees will be presented with a really good test against some really good pitching. Now, let's get to the comment section here. I want to answer some questions and get the comments involved. Gio goes, go Eagles. Do not know. No, go Giants. I despise the Eagles. At least you won 2 of 3. Yeah, that's all you can, you win 2 of 3, you'll take it, right? It's a you take it situation. Can't look at a series where you win 2 of 3 and go, it was a bad series. Will Warren's so frustrating, but he's clearly very good, but things unravel so quickly. I wouldn't say it's that he's clearly very good. It's hard to kind of be like, oh yeah, this guy's clearly good. He just doesn't pitch good, right? The old adage of if they play good, why aren't they good? If they are good, why don't they play good? That kind of thing. But I do think the upside's there. And I think that the Yankees need to, the more reps he gets, the better he'll play. And ultimately, we'll see how they're able to, we'll see if he's able to make the progressions needed to maintain his spot in the rotation. Something that is not a guarantee with Clark Schmidt on the way back in the next 10 days. Cashman needs more bullpen arms, and Will Warren needs to be traded. I think those are hilarious overreactions. So, yeah, I think needs to trade a guy need bullpen on. Like, I don't necessarily think the bullpen is what cost them today at all. So, yeah. Swing 3-0 always. I disagree on that. I disagree on always swing 3-0. And the reason I say that is because I think that it's super, like, as a pitcher, or as a hitter, excuse me, you don't always feel comfortable after 3 pitches in an at bat. Like, you want to kind of see what you can see. And with Aaron Judge behind you, you don't want to make it out on 3-0, right? And that's what makes the 3-1 swing bad is Aaron Judge. It really bad is that Aaron Judge is behind Cody Bellinger. He has to not swing at that pitch. But when Aaron Judge behind you, it's not a bad thing to say, all right, I'll give up on this pitch here. And, I'll only really swing if I love the pitch and I know I can handle this pitch. I'm going to just let it kind of be and play out the way it needs to because I really want Aaron Judge to come up here, which is a right approach. But then the approach just like falls apart when you swing 3-1. When you swing 3-1 at a pitch way out of the zone. So, it on one hand, like you go, all right, you can understand the 3-0 take, but the 3-0 take looks dumb because of the 3-1 swing, or the 3-1 swing looks dumb because of the 3-0 take. It's either or. The at bat was bad. That's just the way I put it. The at bat was bad. Hey Ryan, I see you again. We may have lost today, but it's been a fun show so far. Hey, it's been fun so far. Yeah, look, I mean, the Yankees are 6-3. The Yankees are 6-3. More wins than losses. I'll take it. Yankees are playing some fun baseball. They just had a really tough loss today. One of those losses that, you're just sad. You're just sad that they lost that game. But, to quote Frank Sinatra here, that's life, folks. That's life. Yeah, the comeback was impressive. Just couldn't finish it off. Yeah, that's kind of where it's at. Does anyone know how to bunt anymore? SMH. David, I don't think bunting is the problem here. I think the problem is not scoring with first and third. I get not wanting to bunt when the Yankees are in a situation where their offense, or excuse me, they're down, they're tied in the game. You're in extra innings and you're the road team. Extra inning road teams tend to have to play for more than one run because the other team, the home team, could just tie it with a couple of sac flies. So at the end of the day, really, really hard for, me to sit here and criticize the Yankees for not bunting in that situation. Home runs win games. They say, yeah, if the Yankees hit a home run today, maybe they win this game. But again, like you could also say if maybe the approach was off because they hit so many, like there are so many, they just didn't hit well enough today. And it happens. And I don't, the Yankees have hit so well all season. It's just hard for me to sit here and just like not like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's a word for me to use here, but it's just hard to get upset. It's hard to get upset because baseball is it's a week to week sport. It's not a game to game sport. And, I've talked about this so many times. When the Yankees swept the Brewers, when the Yankees took those first 2 games, when they swept the Brewers, et cetera, I had said in moments where the Yankees drop 2 straight, it will be of the utmost importance to not get too low. Because, and that tied into why it was so like, all right, they won 3. That's great. That's awesome. That's sick. It's 3 games. Because after, 3 games, you can have 3 bad games, 3 great games, 3 so-so games. 3 games could result in kind of anything in baseball. Now, 30 games. Let's cut that down. 15 games. You have 15 bad games, you're in a slump. That's tangible. You're in a slump. Something's wrong. What's going on here, right? Not saying bad 15 games for a team necessarily means that they're done or they're going to win the World Series or whatever. But 15 bad games, then it's a string of poor performances. Yankees had 1 bad game this weekend. 1. Really, the Yankees had 2 bad at bats. 2 bad at bats. Two at bats where if they and this is kind of what maybe gets more people frustrated. It's that those 2 at bats, if Bellinger or Chisholm, one of those 2 guys deliver, or one of those two guys just gets on base and keeps the inning going, maybe the Yankees do score. Maybe the Yankees are able to scratch a run across. Maybe the Yankees are able to win this game. Maybe the Yankees are sitting here 7-2. You're one pitch away from Mark Leiter Jr. from taking that series against the Diamondbacks and sitting back and being able to say, hey, 8-1 on the year, et cetera, et cetera. These marginal losses, or these losses on the margins, right? Those suck. But the Yankees have lost on the margins and have won big. That's a sign of a really good team. The Yankees have lost by thin margins, this thin. I mean, Aaron Judge almost goes yard in the 8th inning. Misses a home run by this much. Yankees might have won in the 9th. This much. Margins, this thin, razor thin. They lose games by razor thin margins. Believe they have yet to lose a game by more than 2 runs this year. But they win big time. Big time. They win by a lot. They very rarely win by a little. At least they haven't early in the year. How does that materialize with a larger sample size and against better competition? I think this Detroit series, cold weather, weird weather, it's going to be interesting to see how they perform. I don't think Grisham can keep this up, obviously, but do you think Volpe can? He played well at the beginning of last year, too, and wasn't better to the playoffs. It's a great point, or a great question. Is this the same? Are we looking at a similar situation to last year, or is Anthony Volpe legit this year? The way I would look at it is, I apologize. I was going to burp. I thought I was going to burp, and I was going to get ready to kind of cover my mouth and, do the podcast host thing. But I don't know why I even said that. Anywho, look, Anthony Volpe, I think the improvement in contact quality, the strong swing decisions, those are real. Now, is he going to hold up a 194 WRC plus and a 703 slugging percentage? No, he's not. But can he be, a 105 WRC plus hitter, or a guy who, slashes, let's say, I'm going to throw out some numbers here off the top of my head. Let's say can he slash 250, 320, 420? Yeah. And, that's not a super impressive slash line, but that's probably like a 105 to 110 WRC plus, just kind of off top of the dome, kind of park adjusting in my head, because what is it? 320 OBP, 420 slash, that's 740 OPS. That 740 OPS is in that 105 to 110 WRC plus range, or OPS plus range, whatever number you care about. And that's a really damn good player, given how good of a base runner and defender he is. So, I think that Anthony Volpe is capable of being a very good player for a very long time in this league. I thought last year he proved himself to be a pretty good player in this league. But now, can he be a very good player with a more all-around game? That's really the question Anthony Volpe is going to have to answer. And I think he's more than capable of sustaining above-average offense to go with really good defense. This version of Volpe is a lot different. He didn't have barrels to start the year. He did not barrel the ball much. He hit the ball hard, but it wasn't in the form of barrels. Is Volpe capable of having that translate for him in 2025, a year where, there's a little more pressure on him to get it going because it's his 3rd year versus his 2nd year in the league. Now, I will say Volpe did hit the ball well to start the year. Like, it's not like he was like not hitting the ball hard at all. He just wasn't barreling it at all. So, as mentioned here by Ken, I think the batted ball data is a little bit just more sustainable, and it's not so much BABIP and more so like just hitting the ball hard and barreling it. As a Yankees fan, I hate when the Yankees make a comeback and then they lose. It sucks. But like, oh, well, it's just a loss, right? Like, the one thing that does suck is the bullpen usage. Like, the Yankees did have to use more relievers and then lose the game anyways. Like, that does suck in the landscape of trying to win, throughout the course of an entire season. So there's that. But again, tough loss for sure. Not going to sit here and pretend that's not the case. Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you're hot, sometimes you're cold. Hopefully they bounce back in this Detroit series here. Now, if you guys are here, if you're listening to this on Twitter or YouTube, whether it's live or after the fact, make sure you guys tune in to Fireside Yankees every morning at 11 a.m. because we're going to have episodes dropping every single day. We've got some prospect stuff coming out tomorrow because tomorrow's the minor league off day. That episode may come out at 10 in the morning. So I'll 10 in the morning just because we have an earlier game. This schedule change just changes everything because it completely throws off the scheduling for us. But expect episodes. Like, comment, subscribe if you can, and share with a friend. And check out EmpireSportsMedia.com as well. When will Aaron Judge bat second again, man? I don't know, but I think the Yankees are still trying to figure out what their lineup, or like what the lineup is going to look like. So, Judge likes hitting third. And what Aaron Judge likes does matter for lineup order. Look, I don't think the Yankees should make their lineup order based on what their players think, but I also don't think optimizing the lineup order to a T is as important as having guys feel comfortable. And I know that's a weird answer to give as the data nerd guy, where like everything's got to be optimized, everything. But like, I don't care if the lineup isn't optimized. I just care if they score runs, right? That's all I care about. Score runs, couldn't care less, right? Couldn't care less. One thing we'll say is that the Yankees, as a pitching staff, or as a bullpen, I get it. I do. I mean, I've been critical of like the Yankees and like listening to what Aaron Judge says and whatever, but at the end of the day, man, they kind of like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's lineup stuff. Other things, yeah, it can matter, but lineup stuff, lineup stuff, it doesn't matter. That's my 2 cents in the matter. Lineup stuff doesn't matter. Put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, put that on a t-shirt, guys. Lineup stuff barely matters. Now some bullpen notes. Bullpen on the season has really, like, they have their ERA isn't great. It's 3.82, and that's 15th in the league. And the win probability added, it's plus 0.36. That's 11th in the league. So relatively average in terms of results. But what I do love is the strikeouts. Strikeouts are way up, 32%. Strikeout to walk rate, 19%. They're 5th in strikeout to walk rate, 2nd in strikeout rate. In skill interactive ERA, they're 8th. I smell a better bullpen than last year. Smell a much better bullpen than last year. Last year, they got off to a really good start ERA-wise and then tapered off because they didn't strike anyone out and they were walking everyone. The rotation, though, that's kind of where it's like, like the rotation. Again, I voiced my concern there. The rotation ERA minus 114 is 20th. The underlying metrics aren't like better. They're 22nd in skill interactive ERA, and they are 23rd in strikeout to walk rate. So they're going to need that group to be better. They're going to need to have guys in that group step up. They're going to need guys in that group to be better. They just are. They're going to need, whether it's Will Warren figuring it out and putting together a really good start, whether it's, Marcus Stroman somehow snapping out of it, which I don't really see happening, or Carlos Rodon just like maybe not randomly throwing a bunch of fastballs. That would help too. It's still early, but I think that was a perceived weakness for the Yankees. And when you have a perceived weakness, stay weak. Kind of hard to shake that one, right? Kind of hard to shake a perceived weakness being weak still. You have 2 guys who grade as above average in terms of stuff plus, and that's Max Fried and Carlos Rodon. Shocker. And then Will Warren is average in stuff plus, probably going to be around average today too, because the shapes and velo wasn't much different. Stroman and Carrasco firmly below average in terms of stuff plus. Shockingly above average in location plus, but maybe not shockingly, because both of those guys have such thin margins for error. Like, you can have a well-placed slider that just lands out of zone and doesn't get a chase. So, just kind of doing my rounds here on the Yankee pitching staff. Bullpen, I'm 2 thumbs up. This bullpen's good. They're so banged up, and they're still good. This bullpen's going to be super good this year. They have 2 guys with a below average stuff plus to pitch out of the bullpen. That was Carlos Carrasco, who is not a reliever and shouldn't even count if we're being honest. And Mark Leiter Jr., who throws a splitter. So, his stuff plus scores are going to naturally be mudded by not throwing being a fastball first guy or a slider first guy. Everyone else, above average in terms of stuff plus. Everyone else has been impressive to me. I've been impressed with everyone in this bullpen to some degree. Even Ryan Yarbrough, like, I was really happy with that second outing, or I guess third outing. No one really remembers the first outing. Everyone remembers that second outing. That third outing was really, really good. Just kind of came in there, shut the door, like, no messing around, go get punchies. If he just throws strikes, he'll be fine. If he doesn't walk everyone, he'll be fine. Like his big bugaboo was just randomly deciding to walk the ballpark, which that entire outing pissed me off to no ends. That outing was one of the most frustrating I've dealt with. But it is what it is. Expected numbers say, yeah, he'll be fine. Like, just give it time. So, early notes again. Offense is clicking. Everyone's hitting, even though they didn't really hit in big situations today. Not worried about the offense. Not worried at all. I'll get worried when I have to be worried, and I don't have to be worried right now. So, yeah. There's that. I mean, let's look at the below-average hitters on the team. Cody Bellinger, JC Escara, and Pablo Reyes. Everyone else, above average. So, some guys are going to slow down. Some guys are going to heat up. But, they just need their starting rotation to be better, and they need to maybe not fail to score runs in 2 straight Manfred rule innings. We're going to take some final questions here before we wrap up. Typical Yankee loss, says John. They raise your hopes by tying the game, then lose another 1-run game in extra innings. That is the first game that they've lost like this season. But yes, they had a couple losses like that last year, and it does suck. But, it is what it is. I do have to say, Yankee offense looks good, and the Yankees should add another starting pitcher, another bat. They need another right-handed bat. They need a right-handed bat badly. I'm so glad Brian Cashman saw that Trent Grisham would be a great role player. I think he'll be a great Yankee. I don't know about great Yankee, but I think he's a good player. I hope he can win another World Series and get 28. Probably not going to happen. Never. If the Yankees never win another World Series for the rest of human history, it'd be pretty stunning. Pretty low odds of that one happening. Anywho, we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. This is a great, start to the year in terms of viewership and getting people to interact with us on social media. So we appreciate that. We're going to ramp up the efforts here on the YouTube to get more lives, get more content for you guys. So we'd greatly appreciate it if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out Fireside Yankees right here on our YouTube page. If you enjoyed this episode, again, you can check us out on our various social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, this YouTube page. We have audio podcasts and audio versions of our podcast on our Spotify and on Apple Podcast. And finally, last plug in here, EmpireSportsMedia.com is your one-stop shop for New York sports content. We've got tons of written coverage on there. And Empire Sports Media is the parent company, or the company in which the Fireside podcasts are under. So if you want to check out other Fireside podcasts and other New York sports teams, we've got Fireside Giants and Fireside Rangers on the podcast side, with Fireside Knicks and Fireside Mets on the social media side. I doubt that anyone here is a Mets fan, but if you are, we have Fireside Mets. You don't have to be here and hate watch us. You can just go follow your favorite team. But the Knicks play a little bit later, so right now, actually. So if you want to keep up with that game, you should follow Fireside Knicks. And thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and let's go Yankees. Peace out, everyone.
Perfect.